How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be doing access from Proving Grounds. I've already kicked off the rust scan. This appears to be a Active Directory machine. We can see port 5388 S&B is open. So just from 88 and 53 being open, that's a good giveaway that it's a Active Directory machine. Also, Active Directory machines usually also have S&B open, LDAP. That's a lot of common services that are open. We can go ahead and analyze this, and we can see there's a domain access.offsec0. We can add that to our Etsy host. Well, I believe we can get rid of the 0. Just put access.offsec. Alright, and we always want to check for null login via S&B. So we're going to do -L -N. Let's try this. Put the N before the L. There we go. Access denied. Right now we try an M for Linux NG with the -A and -C flag. -C checks for RPC, services via RPC, and -A checks for all simple checks. Let's go ahead and run that so it doesn't look like we have any useful information here. Let's go to port 80. So in port 80, the only place that we're able to upload or inject any data is the buy tickets. It allows us to upload a file. So let's go back and let's run FergusBuster. FergusBuster, let's use big.txt and filter out 404. Let that run. Now let's go ahead and try to upload a reverse show. So let's do subl ivan.php and let's check Wapalizer. We can see that it is using PHP and it's an Apache web server. So we can upload a PHP rev show. Let's go to revshows.com. Let's look for PHP rev show. Since it's a Windows machine, we can use CMD. And we need to put in our IP address. It's on 0. And let's use a open port, so 445. Let's copy that. Save that file. Now let's go back and see if we can upload it. Browse, Ivan, purchase. That file extension is not allowed. So whenever you try to bypass a file upload exploit, or if you think there is a file upload exploit, always come to htaccess for the file upload section. And first you want to try to obfuscate the extension. So let's go to Burp Suite. So let's find, alright, so here it is. So we found the request. So let's send the request to repeater. So you want to try and fuzz different type of extensions here. So maybe you try to do, if it's a image file, try JPEG or something like that. Just try different extensions. The ones that are listed in here. You can also try to bypass the extension check by changing the capitalization of the letter. You can also try adding URL encoded characters like a space. Just try all of this. And then you want to move down to the content type filters and try to change the content type. So right here, I'm going to try and change this. That did not work either. So then I made my way down here. Special extension tricks. And it says if you're trying to upload files to a PHP server, take a look at the htaccess tricks to execute code. And we are running on a PHP server. So I went here and that took me here. So RCE via htaccess. If you can upload a htaccess, then you can configure several things and even execute code. Configuring the files with extension htaccess can be executed. So then I clicked on this link, which took me to HT shells. Now, none of these HT shells worked for me, so I went ahead and did some more Googling for further tricks for the htaccess bypass, which led me to this blog. Bypassing files upload limitations with a .htaccess file on Apache. So you ever come across a website with possible file upload vulnerability, but you're unable to bypass the upload restriction through fuzzing or trying to bypass the content filter? Perhaps you can try out this simple method to get around the limitation by upload a .htaccess file. And it says make sure you run on a Apache website. Any other file extension, including htaccess files, can be uploaded. So we have to check for that to make sure we can actually upload the .htaccess file. And this is the contents of the .htaccess file. So we want to copy that. And we can just run this in our command line. And pretty much we are allowing this file extension. So you can change it to whatever you want to do. So let's try changing it to xxx. And now we have a .htaccess file here. So let's copy ivan.php to test.xxx. Alright, and it also shows that you need to check the hidden files because it might not show when you go to your file explorer. So now all we have to do is go back to the website. Let's attempt to upload the .htaccess file. And if it doesn't show, right click and then press hidden files. So let's try to upload this. Test. You will receive a payment link shortly or in the mail. Okay, so that was successfully uploaded. Now let's try to upload the reverse shell. Test.xxx. Open. Purchase. You will receive payment link in the mail. Okay, so that was successfully uploaded. And now let's check out FerxBuster. And FerxBuster, we see that the uploads directory was found. So let's open that. And we see our test.xxx file. So we want to start our listener. And let's click on the file to see if we get a show back. And now I have a show. I had to reset my VPN connection and the machine in order to get a show. I was receiving some type of error message. So if you get the same type of issues, just restart your machine and your VPN. Whenever you get a shell on a Windows machine, do UMI/all. And we don't see SE impersonate. Also check if you're in the local admin group. Let's do ipconfig /all access.offsec. Alright, let's go to C drive there. And inside of the C drive, I always look for non-default directories. So this XAMPP directory is not default. Let's go to XAMPP. And in here we can look for configuration files, and we see this passwords.txt. Let's see what's in there. More in order to read it, and paste the file name. And we see this ppmax 2011. Let's copy that, add it to our notes. We can also add this as well. On your exam, always keep a list of the passwords and usernames that you found, because if you find a password, you can always spray that password on the different users that are within the network. So let's say we wanted to spray this password with NXC. We need a list of usernames, so we can go back to the shell and we can do net user / domain, and we would get a list of all the domain users and put these usernames within a username file and then spray that password. But that won't work in this case. Let's go ahead and transfer over some scripts. Go back to C drive, mkdir, temp, cd temp. Now we need to go to our tools and start a web shell. So in this directory, I have multiple Windows tools. So I'm going to transfer over ADPs since this is a Active Directory machine, and I'm going to also transfer over privscheck.ps1, and we can also transfer over WinPs. So I'm going to go ahead and use cert-u2 to copy over the scripts. The files are now transferred over. Let's go ahead and run privscheck. And this command can be found on the website. Pretty much we're doing PowerShell EP bypass, and then we are running the script, and then we are running the command invoke-privscheck, and let's wait for this to finish. The scan finished running, so I always look at the bottom, which shows the summary, and then whatever is high, I copy that. So we see this service image file permissions. Then I do Control-Shift-F, and then I paste it in here. It looks like we have write permissions to this httpd.exe file. So maybe we can replace this file with a reverse shell, but that does not make sense because this file is already running as the user, which we already are. So this won't really help us much. None of this stuff will. So let's go ahead and run ADPs. That did not run because I'm not inside of PowerShell, so we have to go to PowerShell first. Then run that. Now invoke-ADPs. The scan finished. Let's scroll up. And as you can see, we were able to extract a hash for server's MS SQL. So now let's copy this hash and crack it. And it actually gives us the command in order to crack this hash. Let's see if we can crack it without putting it in a file. Let's use single quotes. This is taking longer than expected, so let's add a wordless user share wordless rocku.txt, and let's use the -o command to optimize it. And we can see it found trust no one as the password. So let's add that to our notes. And when you're doing Active Directory machines, you want to make sure that you're staying very organized. And now we need to spray these credentials across the domain on different services. And you always want to check the shares, --shares. You also want to check local auth, but since this is a domain user, they don't have local authentication, but sometimes there are local admins and they will have different permissions from their domain permissions. So now I'm gonna go ahead and try to spray this on the different services available on NXC, and I'll be back. I was unable to find any additional information using the credentials using NXC. Let's see if we can get a connection using MS-SQL client. Now we need to put in the password trust no one. That does not work, connection refused. So we couldn't use these credentials to find any more credentials or access any shares. We couldn't use it to collect the Bloodhound data externally. We also could not access MS-SQL client externally. So let's try to use some type of command in order to run this user, in order to get a shell as this user from inside of the shell that we already have. And one tool that we can use is called RunasCS. In order to do this method, we need netcat64.exe and we need runascs.exe. Let's try to use certutil to copy over those files. Now that we have the files transferred over, we want to set a netcat listener wrap, and we want to use the open port. Let's use 636. Now we want to use runascs.exe. Then we put the credentials for MS-SQL trust no one. Now in parentheses, we want to call to the netcat64.exe, and then we put in our command, so -e cmd. Now we put in our 10.0 address, 192.168.45, and then we put in the port 636, and let's see if it works. And I forgot to close the parentheses. The command did not work because I was running in PowerShell, so I switched to cmd.exe. Now let's try to run it again. And it looks like we have a show. With my SVC MS-SQL. So we were able to get a shell as MS-SQL, even though we were unable to use the credentials anywhere else. And also I want to note that I should have also tried RDP and WinRM, but those will not work. Alright, so we have a shell. Let's do wmi/all. And it looks like we have a special permission that's not default, SE manage volume permission. Let's see what we can do with that. So if we Google the exploit, we will see some binaries for SE manage volume exploit. This permission allows the user to write to any file in the C drive. So we will perform a DLL hijacking attack utilizing the tzres.dll, which is triggered when running the systeminfo command. So we will be using CS-enox, already compiled, pre-compiled binary, and all we have to do is go to GitHub and then go to releases, and right here you can see the .exe file ready for download. I also want to give a shout out to IMPlant for showing the second part of this attack, which will be triggering the trzres.dll, which is the whoami command. So first we need to create a reverse shell payload using the tzres.dll name, and we will be using MSF Venom, and we set the port to 5985, which is an open port. Now let's start our Python 3 server and transfer over both files. Now we want to set our netcat listener 5985 cdc temp. Alright, now let's run. We need to run this first. Alright, now we need to copy this file over to C Windows System 32 WBEM. Now all we have to do is run the system info command. And let's check our rev show. And we got a show back. Who am I? And we are NT Authority Network Service. Let's do who am I /all. And we have SE impersonate privileges. So now we need to transfer over another file. So C temp. Let's go back to our tools directory. Let's -lsa. Start our netcat listener. We want to transfer over print spoofer. So we're going to use cert-u2. Alright, we transferred that over. Now let's run it. I'm going to run print spoofer -i-c PowerShell.exe. And it looks like I ran this in the wrong shell. So let's go to the right shell and run that. Who am I /all. And it looks like we are the server user and we are in the built-in administrators group. I always try print spoofer before I try any juicy potatoes because it's just easier to use and I don't need netcat 64 to run it. And it looks like we are system on this machine, so we can go to C users and we have the proof.txt. Thanks for watching, guys.